This hack tip is brought to you by Carbonite Online Backup. Start your free trial at Carbonite.com with offer code HACK5 and you get 2 months free with purchase. Welcome to HakTip, the show where we break down the concepts, tools, and techniques for hackers, network gurus, and IT ninjas. I'm your host, Darren Kitchen, and today we're getting a little bash happy with something called standard streams and pipelines. Our practical example this time will be breaking the encryption of a WPA-protected wireless access point. Because, I mean, come on, who doesn't love a little password cracking, right? But first, it's time for the terms. Standard streams in Unix, like operating systems, and Windows to some extent, are the inputs and outputs between a program and its environment. Now, our environment in this case is going to be Bash. It's the born-again shell. It's my personal favorite. There are a couple out there like C shell. Anyway, furthermore, there's 3 kinds of standard streams: standard in, standard out, and standard error. Now, standard input data is usually text that goes into the program, and 9 times out of 10, it's just whatever you're typing on the keyboard. Similarly, standard output is where the program writes its output data. Now, this could be to a file, to a COM port, the network, and quite often it's simply your terminal or your display. Now, not all programs have input and output data. For example, dir and DOS or ls in Unix don't take any input. You issue ls and it outputs the contents of the directory. Similarly, issuing rename or mv to rename a file doesn't send any output. You input with the keyboard the old file name and the new file name to the mv or rename program using your keyboard, and then the file names change. I mean, nothing really that exciting to write home about, huh? Now finally, standard error is another output from the program. It's completely independent from standard output, and it's used to send error messages, which are typically going to show up in the terminal or your display. It's just nice to know that they're separate and they can go somewhere else if need be. Now, I mentioned sending the output somewhere else, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. While the output of a program typically goes to the terminal, it doesn't have to. For example, if we take the output of the ls or dir programs and send them into the input of the more program. Now, more allows us to read the output of ls and dir 1 page at a time, and then we can use the spacebar to advance. By the way, the Q key quits there. Now, this is what's called piping. We can run 2 programs together. The output of the first program gets piped into the input of the next. Now, there's a lot more to redirecting and standard input and output, but I'm sure we'll get to it all in due time. I think we might be ready for a nice little real-world example. And in just a bit, we're going to be taking the output of John the Ripper, a fantastic brute force program, into the input of Aircrack-ng, the hacker's choice for all sorts of wireless mischief fun. Now first, let's thank one of our excellent sponsors. Computer disasters eventually happen to everyone, whether it's a virus, a hard drive crash, a fire, alien abduction, whatever. But if you get Carbonite Online Backup before your disaster, you'll be worry-free because your files will be backed up automatically and safely online. It's really easy to get them back too. You can access them anytime, anywhere, from a computer, an iPad, a smartphone. You could be at dinner and just check in on them and see that they're happy and safe. Carbonite Unlimited Backup for your PC or Mac is just $59 a year. That's less than $5 a month. But if you use the offer code HAK5 when you start your 15-day free trial, you get 2 months free if you decide to buy. Find all the details over at Carbonite.com, and remember to use the offer code HAK5 to get 2 months free with purchase. Now, if you're not familiar with John the Ripper, it's a fantastic tool for cracking passwords. You can use it to generate or process word lists, or even come up with them on the fly with a little bit of brute force. And John the Ripper is the perfect companion to the Aircrack-ng suite of network tools and fun. You know, it's for all that fun Wi-Fi mischief, yeah. Now, I've already gone into my wireless card and turned it into monitor mode. I've set packet sniffing, I've deauthorized users, I've captured a bunch of traffic, including the 4-way handshake, and this means I can start attempting to crack that pre-shared key. And if that all sounded Greek to you, don't worry about it. We're going to be getting into all of that in an upcoming hack tip. So, the Aircrack-ng program wants 3 things: the BSSID of the access point we're cracking, the packet capture file containing that handshake, and a word list or dictionary file. Now, since the password of our WPA protected wireless access point isn't actually in the dictionary, we're going to send in John the Ripper. John's a nifty little program, has this really cool option called incremental, which will try every password possible. It's 8 characters by default. You can set it. Now with John, we specify std output option, and that will output the candidate password that is generating to standard output. So using what we've just learned, we can take the output from John the Ripper, which is busy coming up with every password possible, right? And we can pipe it into Aircrack-ng, which will then just go ahead and try them against our captured handshake. Now, in anywhere between a second and 16 years, we'll have cracked this network. Rock on! Now, stay tuned, because coming up on HakTip, we're going to be cracking your very first wireless network. We're going to be getting into all sort of nerdy details about redirecting and a whole bunch more. Until then, I want to hear your feedback. What programs or commands are giving you warm fuzzies? Hit me up, tips@hak5.org. And be sure to check out our sister show, Hak5, for more great stuff just like this. I'll be there, reminding you to trust your Technolust. Using Unix is fun!